Dawn Treader Stories presents Blue Kiss. The town of Pila, tucked away in the rural heart of Laguna, was a place where nothing extraordinary ever happened. Farmers rose with the roosters, fish vendors bickered in the wet market, and every gossip spread faster than wildfire. But in this sleepy town, on the outskirts of the rice fields, two teenagers shared a summer that would alter the course of their lives. Lia and Nilo were neighbors, sort of. Lia lived in the main town, but her family owned a small farm just a kilometer away. Nilo lived on that farm year-round, his father working as the caretaker. The two had known each other since they were children, crossing paths during school holidays, playing under mango trees, and swimming in the river that snaked lazily through the fields. But they hadn't really been friends. Lia was always somewhere else, busy in town with cousins, or stuck with school obligations her parents piled on. That all changed during one fateful summer. Lia's parents decided she should spend a couple of months on the farm to reconnect with simple living and stay away from distractions. She hated the idea. No Wi-Fi, no malls, no cafes. Just heat, mud, and mosquitoes. But her parents insisted, and so, at 16, she found herself at the farm, stuck in the endless quiet. At least, that's what she thought. The day Lia arrived, Nilo stood by the gate, shirtless and brown from the sun, a grin stretched across his face. "You look miserable," he teased as she lugged her bags out of the tricycle. "I am miserable," Lia snapped, glaring at him. But Nilo only chuckled, used to her moods. She had grown taller since the last time he'd seen her, with cropped hair that curled around her ears and a permanent scowl that he found oddly endearing. They spent the first few days awkwardly reacquainting themselves, exchanging sarcastic comments, competing over who could climb the mango tree faster, and silently watching the rice fields sway in the late afternoon breeze. At night, they lay on bamboo mats under the stars, surrounded by the chirping of crickets and frogs. It wasn't long before the banter between them softened into genuine companionship. One evening Lia broke the silence between them. "Do you think there's anything out there?" she asked, gesturing toward the dark sky. "Like aliens?" Nilo smirked. "No, dummy." She nudged him with her shoulder. "Like, something bigger than this town." "Bigger than us?" Nilo thought for a moment. "Yeah, maybe." He glanced at her, a question forming on his lips. "Do you ever want to leave?" "Every day," Lia said quietly. They sat in silence after that, listening to the rustling of the coconut trees. Something had shifted between them, and though neither said it aloud, they both felt it, like a thread tightening between two lives that had always run parallel but never touched. Their days took on a dreamy rhythm. They rode bicycles along dirt paths, ate halo at the Sari store, and wandered along the riverbanks, skipping stones into the shimmering water. The air was thick with humidity, but the world felt light when they were together, as if they were floating just above the surface of reality. One afternoon, they sat on a grassy hill overlooking the rice fields. Lia wore a loose white shirt, and Nilo couldn't help but notice how it glowed under the sun, like she was made of light. He leaned back on his elbows, watching her face as she stared off into the distance. "Have you ever been kissed?" Nilo asked suddenly, his voice low. Lia glanced at him, startled. "What kind of question is that?" "I'm just curious." Nilo grinned, but there was something nervous in the way his fingers fidgeted with a blade of grass. Lia rolled her eyes but smiled despite herself. "No. Not yet." He leaned in closer, his eyes playful but serious. "Do you want to?" Her heart thumped in her chest. She told herself it was just a silly question, something teenagers asked each other out of boredom. But the way Nilo looked at her made her feel like the world had narrowed to this one moment, like the sky might crack open if she said yes. "Maybe," she whispered. Without a word, Nilo tilted his head and kissed her. It wasn't perfect, his lips were warm and a little unsure, and they both tasted like the ripe mangoes they'd eaten earlier. But in that clumsy kiss, something clicked into place, as if they had unlocked a secret that had been waiting just beneath the surface of their friendship all along. When they pulled away, Nilo chuckled, rubbing the back of his neck. "So was it okay?" Lia smiled, her cheeks flushed. "Yeah. It was okay." The next few weeks passed in a blur of stolen glances, inside jokes, and more kisses. Each one felt like a new discovery, like unraveling the edges of a mystery they were only just beginning to understand. They knew their time together was temporary, summer would end, and with it, this fragile, secret world they had built. But that only made every moment more precious. One day, as they lay by the river, Lia rested her head on Nilo's shoulder. "What do you think will happen when I go back to town?" she asked quietly. "I don't know," Nilo admitted. "Do you think?" she hesitated. "Do you think this will still matter?" Nilo's heart clenched at the thought. He wanted to say yes, that they would still matter even after summer ended. But deep down he knew the world had a way of pulling people apart. Lia belonged to a different life, a life of school dances, exams, and plans for college. And Nilo? He wasn't sure where he belonged, but it wasn't in the same world as hers. Maybe we can meet halfway, he said instead, trying to keep his voice light. Lia smiled softly, though her eyes were heavy with something she couldn't quite name. A blue kiss, she murmured. What's that? It's like something you want but can't really have. Like a kiss you keep with you, even if you know you can't stay. Nilo didn't say anything, but he understood. Some things were too beautiful to last, but that didn't make them any less real. On the last night of summer, they sat by the riverbank under a full moon. The air was thick with the scent of jasmine and damp earth. Lia rested her hand on Nilo's, and for a moment, they simply existed together, two teenagers caught between the present and the future, holding on to a love they knew would slip away with the seasons. I'll miss this, Lia whispered. Me too, Nilo said, squeezing her hand. They kissed one last time under the stars, slow and bittersweet, like a farewell wrapped in promise. And when they pulled apart, they smiled at each other, knowing that no matter where life took them, they would carry this summer in their hearts. The following morning, Lia's parents came to pick her up. Nilo stood by the gate, watching as she climbed into the car, her eyes meeting his one last time. She gave him a small wave, and just like that, she was gone. The farm felt emptier without her, the days stretching long and quiet. Nilo returned to his chores, but every now and then, he would catch himself looking at the riverbank or the mango tree, expecting to find her there. Time passed. The rainy season came, washing away the last traces of summer. But whenever Nilo closed his eyes, he could still feel the warmth of Lia's hand in his, the taste of mangoes on her lips, and the echo of her voice whispering a blue kiss. And in a way that was enough. Because some loves are not meant to last a lifetime, but they still leave a mark, like the first kiss of summer or the memory of a dream. And no matter where the future led them, Nilo knew that he and Lia would always carry a piece of this summer, tucked away in the quiet corners of their hearts, like a blue kiss under a moonlit sky. The end. If you want to hear more stories like these, please click subscribe and press the notification bell. Thank you.